There's a lot of restrictions.
There's 7 facilities operating within the county,
More than booze.
Yeah.
and there's 4 of them on the books. So.
Is there a way to cultivate more from the community, like more parks spread out within the community, or more, if we can't do it one way, can we do it another way?
Yeah, like,
Well, that's what this rule kind of takes into effect. If you, after a meeting tonight, get one from Lacey, and you can just read what it says as far as what the rules are against them, why they can't set it up within these certain parameters.
It just feels like a loophole. Like, well, you can put a park
Well, see,
here and.
what they've done is they
Yeah.
made it stronger than what it was, because the facility went in at Roberts, and it was not a good deal. Right across the
And he's getting shut down.
Yeah,
They
that's way closer.
can't shut down an existing one.
He's gonna shut himself down because of the pressure he's getting from the town.
Not just the town. The county. These people have to be very careful where they put stuff, because it's all regulated. But anyway, so should we go ahead and table marijuana survey until next time, so we can maybe get the attorney here?
How many
Because the
surveys
attorney
were
just got
returned?
this. Pardon?
How many surveys were returned? Because I don't think that we had luck with the last survey that we did.
I know some people didn't even get one.
And that,
What
I
did we
mean,
send out
number
about-
wise.
We got about,
well, there was, let's see, around 60-ish, because the highest one was always either 38 no and 21 yes. It was around that area, so it was
So
like 60.
60
But I have
to
all of them
60%
in
of
there.
our community.
there was about 60 of them that were returned. How
Yeah.
many were
And
sent out?
there's like
How many
over
people do we send water
200.
bills to?
Over 200, but there is some people, yeah, that I found out didn't get them.
And I know some would have wanted to have had us, how to say that.
But it is overwhelmingly, nobody wants them in town. But according to the rules that the county has set back, as far as their setbacks, it'd be pretty tough to get one in town, just by that. Yes,
What I'm saying is that there's always gonna be a loophole. If your town has a rule against it, it'd be impossible to have a loophole. But if you don't have it there, there's always gonna be a way to put a loophole in there, and it will not represent the community, and it will open the door, just like Berlin says.
you
You
have
know, I don't know, this is another addictive substance, okay? You set it up 1,000 foot away from everything. What's gonna keep these kids from slipping somebody a little money to go get them something?
Nothing,
Just like
buying
alcohol,
booze. Yeah,
just like
exactly.
alcohol.
I
We
agree.
used to find people to buy alcohol for us when I was a kid. Don't do it anymore, but that's what we did.
I can tell you that it is being sold in town right now as we speak, and has for several years.
Mhm. There's lots
Oh,
of
yeah,
people that
yeah.
have to have a dispensary to sell marijuana.
It's
If
just
they
one of
wanna
those.
sell marijuana, they're gonna do it from their home.
Yeah.
So
It's-
there's lots of ways to do it, if that's
Yeah.
what,
they're
if
trying
that's
to
what they
do
wanna do.
Is they're trying to regulate it so that we get rid of the street vendor. And as you know, like you said, marijuana is a gateway drug,
That is.
and that's what they call it. And there's a reason for it. Matt, do we have any other discussion on that? Or should we move that and go?
We weren't planning on making any decisions tonight on this anyway, were we?
Nope.
We don't have to even table it, do we?
No.
No. Let's make sure we have it on the next
It was
agenda.
just a discussion.
Okay. Next up on the agenda is, we're going to discuss the town shop usability, committee reports. Dave?
So one of the special meetings, when did we hold that?
On the 25th,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 2 Fridays ago.
Was to meet down at the city shop and look at the facility there and see if there was anything that we could use or, you know, improve to make useful in that facility, so that we would have an option, a number 2 option for additional space for the city employees to use. Tim brought to the forefront, kind of unexpectedly, the option of purchasing a storage shed from a vendor and putting it on a concrete pad in the park. And kind of, I thought maybe he was expecting us to make a decision pretty quickly about that, and I felt a little uncomfortable with that because I didn't know personally what we had available to us in other avenues. So we met down there. Some of the people here in the attendance tonight were there, and we looked over that facility, and basically what it is the main shop, and then there's a building next to the main shop that's kind of joined but not really. And it's about 40 feet long, and we're using about half of that for Jay's storage. And what my thought was that we had a facility that we could possibly use with some alterations, and save the city some money. So, as everybody knows, not only the people sitting at this table, but the people out there, we don't have an endless supply of money. Spromberg's got pretty limited revenue sources. We lost one not too long ago when the Tomahawk closed down, so it's even getting less. So I was concerned. So Tim suggested that I lead a fact-finding mission to see what it would take to make that half of that building useful. The building is over 20 feet long. Well, I shouldn't say that. The unused portion is over 20 feet long, and I would say, 20 feet wide?
Yeah, it's at least 20.
Yeah. So my idea was, let's find out the reason why it isn't being used. And Jay says it's because you can't get the damn doors open. They're barn doors they're big slabs that slide left and slide right, and they've been unoperational for who knows how long. Jay, do you have any idea how long they have not been used? 20 years?
Since I've been here.
20 years?
I know only half of it's worked.
Yeah.
Since I've been here.
So that building sat there, collected dust, that portion of that building, for a long time. So I found out that we could get a door replaced on that for about $5,000 and do a little bit of concrete work underneath the door because it's kind of been deteriorating backward from the door from just heavy equipment driving in on it and whatnot. For another, I don't know. Well, actually, the total with the door and the concrete would be about $5,000. So I'm looking at a $5,000 investment to make that 20 by 20 building useful compared to a $14,000 shed that we purchase And the amenities are similar. They're both not heated, they're both on a concrete pad, they're both not insulated. I think the city building would be more useful because you could drive a big vehicle in there. The door would be 14 feet tall, or 12 feet tall and 14 feet wide. So that's what my task was, is to find out how much it would cost to make that building useful. Doesn't mean we have to spend $5,000 on a door at all. It just means this block is a 12 by 12 building that you probably couldn't even get 20-foot pipe in. I mean 20 by 20, because pipe is 20 feet long. A 20 by 20 building is actually 20 feet overall.
Right.
You couldn't even get 20 feet pipe in it. So there's 14 grand, here's 5 grand. If you need more room, I suggest we spend the 5 grand. Now, one of Tim's question was, and find out where you're gonna get the money. Well, my answer to that is, you must have saw 14 grand somewhere. You can probably see 5. That's
And
it.
I know that somebody came and looked at the side door too that's gonna get put in.
We're not gonna do that.
Oh, you guys aren't
No,
gonna do that
that,
for the
I mean,
lawnmowers?
all I was tasked with is to similarly give the city 20 by 20 useful space. Now, there's all kinds of things we could do to that building to make it more useful in the future. But that wasn't my task.
But the side door, I'm sure you were told, I was, it's too close to the alley, you can't put a door
Yeah.
in there.
I didn't pursue it at all because it wasn't in my wheelhouse.
There's one other side point too that Tammy brought up, and Dick Taylor was talking to them. If you put a building like that on the slab, you're gonna have rotten concrete, and no doubt also, he didn't mention the rotten building, but the rotten building would be part of it too. And also, if you're gonna have a, concrete foundation, which you don't need on a smaller shed, but, then of course you've got to dig down and have deeper, broader on the edges.
Yeah, well, the
And
biggest issue is the 14,000 versus
Right,
5.
I agree, I absolutely agree,
We don't need to go any further on that.
yeah.
It does give the usability, it does give us an option. So as we proceed and go forward with it, that will be an
It's
option.
gonna be a 14 by 14 door, or?
On what?
14.9 by
On what?
12.9.
Yeah, it's 14.9 by 12.9. 12.9 tile, 14.9 wide.
Can you get
Just
that?
exactly the same size as the opening.
Okay.
And chain hoist. It's $1,000 for electric opener.
Do you know how long till you guys will make a decision on that?
That's not up to me.
I don't know. That's something that I will discuss with Jay, and we'll look at these things and see how far out they are. And I'll discuss it further with the council. Yes,
Where was the money coming from for the $14,000 building?
it'll be coming from the water and sewer funds.
That is no part of the water and sewer, is it?
It would be, yes.
Or you
We would
can
be
classify
storing-
it that because you got some, gonna put some pipe in there.
We'd be putting water
And bends,
pipes in there, we'd be putting
fittings and whatnot.
sewer stuff in there.
And meter pits.
Yeah. It would
Well,
mostly be.
I stopped down by there yesterday and talked with Jay a little bit. I believe you could probably put some racks on the wall.
Sure. That was the
That'd
plan.
put everything up, out of the way where you could drive a lot of stuff in that building,
Yeah, you could even put
the
a
old
fire-
one. And the last 2 times that I've been in there hadn't been anything in there, except
Okay.
pipe
Yeah, we can
That's all it's
get the
in
doors.
there.
and signs.
No access, that's why. That
Yeah.
door's been,
The door's been
Okay.
shut for the last 2 years, so, that I know of. And then they were having so much trouble with it, they just finally quit using it, because they just couldn't get it open.
Well, you
And
can't
it was
do it
one of
by
those things
yourself.
where if we had the backhoe parked in there and that door was froze down shut, If we needed tobacco in an emergency case, then we'd have to knock the door down and get it out.
And that $4,300 for that door is installed, by the way.
So it's just an ongoing project. It's something that I would like to see, whether it's in this building here or down below. But something that is needed. Yes.
If we got extra money in the water and sewer fund, why can't we pay off a little bit more of the loan that we got? So our water bills can go down. We're one of the highest communities in the state for water, sewer, and garbage.
I know, and that is regulated by the state.
Has Lacey ever found the paperwork?
Not yet. No.
I agree, it
had
would be
time.
nice if we could bring our water bills down.
It's definitely not in that room, so, or that room, so it's, if we have it, it's in this one.
I think I'd go
So,
with Dave
but
on
I've
that.
gotten through that room, and I know it's not in that room, cause I put everything in that room.
Quit paying them, they'll call. And we can ask them.
But see, in our water and sewer budgets, we plan for water breaks and problems. In the last couple of years, we've been very fortunate.
Yeah. Well,
And we haven't had to spend $60,000, $70,000 on that kind of stuff. So that leaves a little bit of wiggle room on making some improvements. So, yes, El?
What I'm thinking is, just like when you're buying a house, usually you have an option to knock down your payment just by paying off the interest. In other words, doubling up on your payments. So you cut down the amount of interest you pay. So I would think that if a certain amount was paid each month over and above what was required by the state, the principal would be knocked down and our water bills would go down. So if you just budget a certain amount each month to knock that down, then at least it would make the community feel a whole lot better about management. And it also knock down our bills a little bit. I mean, I think that'd be a prudent thing to do. It's good business. And it'd all give us a break on our bills.
It would. However, when you start budgeting money for that, then it's money that's spent. If we budget the money that we use for an emergency on paying extra on our bills, then that money's spent. It goes towards that bill. And then we have an issue where we have a broken line or something, we cannot go to that and say, we're gonna take that back, state, we're not gonna pay you, because the budget is that way.
Well, I'm not recommending taking all of it. I'm just saying budget a certain amount each month. And you'd leave
Yeah,
plenty
but if
for
we had,
emergencies.
say, 12,000 extra, or $40,000, and we budgeted that to go extra each year. I was trying to think, what was the water well? It was over $130,000 or $160,000 that we had to borrow, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, there is probably ways of managing and doing that.
Well, if you have $80,000 in water and sewer right now, which I think is roughly what you have, why couldn't you just put $20,000 out of that each year and cut down the principal? I mean, that's 1/4.
Well, if I took the $20,000 out of that and then I had a break, it cost me, the sewer spill was $30,000. The water line that broke here that was real easy to fix, that was probably $15,000.
It could have been a hell of a lot more.
It could have been a lot
Then
more.
you're paying the interest on that as well.
Yes. And the last water line that broke over by the park, that was probably closer to $18,000 to $20,000. So, you know, and we just, with our infrastructure the way it is, Jay and I both, we get on our knees every night and we pray that nothing happens. That we don't have an earthquake or something that's gonna cause these lines to shift. and break.
I think we should stop talking about breaks.
I was gonna say, you're gonna change it.
Jinx it.
Okay, well, just $10,000 then.
That's not on the,
Is-
not on the
That's
menu
something
here.
that we,
Well, we'll look at it at budget meetings coming
yeah,
up.
Is that water and sewer fund set up with, say, a prudent reserve? That you keep that amount of money in there all the time and then get rid of the
It's
rest?
not on the menu.
I'd have to look at the budget.
You know, cause, if you got a prudent reserve and you got extra money in there, then you can find all sorts of different things to use it for.
Oh, yes, now,
But if
looking
you got it
at,
set at one certain rate,
right now, we have what, we've spent in our water close to 50% of what we allocated for this year. I think we spent 40% what we normally would for our sewer. You look at our general fund is extremely slim, and we don't have any wiggle room at all on our general fund to put money for anything.
We do have reserve in the water anyway.
So. Yes, Mark?
Okay, I just wondered one thing. Okay, so you got all this back money that people had owed for years. Okay, so to the public, the fact that you wanted to spend that amount of money down there on water and sewer, it looks really tacky and crappy when something can't be done more towards, I mean, you're taking out the water, you got all this other, that's fine, but I mean, it just don't make good sense to me either. That would
High
be
water
spent,
bills,
that
yeah.
would be spent for something other than trying to help. The public just don't like it, and I've heard it everywhere.
I can understand it. Now, for the town to proceed to go forward, we have to make a certain amount of improvement. Now, we can stand still and not spend any money at all, and we can maintain exactly where we've been for the last 50 years and stay right here. Or if we wish to go forward, it's gonna cost us a little bit of money to make sure that the roads are up to date, they're fixed, they're working. You know, we could, if that's what the town wants to do, is just stand still,
That
then,
wasn't what I was saying at all.
I know, but you're saying to take this money and pay that loan off. We can't just do that.
I
That's not
didn't
what
say
we're
to
saying
pay.
at all. We're just taking a little bit of it.
Paying it a little bit at a time. But that has to come up during budget time. I know you're here during the budget meetings. So maybe we get a little more involvement in the budget meetings. But that's what this boils down to. And it's not on the agenda for us to be discussing this. So, but that's where it's at. We need to discuss this at budget meeting.
You could make a resolution, couldn't you? Anytime.
2 years so far
Not
on
without,
track
I
right
think,
now.
making, causing problems. Yes,
the main reason I brought that up is the last time we was at a meeting, you definitely said you were gonna use water and sewer fund money to pay for that new building down there,
yes.
okay? Why are we spending that amount of money for a building that we really don't need, I don't believe? Because we got 3 buildings down there,
Okay, and that is an option that we're looking at.
yeah.
And we may not do anything. We may just stand still where it's been for the last 20 years or 50 years.
Well, I'd be very agreeable to putting a new door on that building down there and making use of it.
I would too. I like that idea. But about 7 years ago, that was an extremely hot item discussed in the council here. They wouldn't do it.
Well, you gotta take into consideration who was the mayor.
Yes, I know. Now,
Well, it was a hot item because it was $18,000, and that was, if you wanted to have a slide-in door, just like what it is right now. What we've got now is a whole different option. And $5,000 is a pretty doggone good deal,
It is a good deal.
and way better than 14,000 for a shed that's half the height, doesn't even have the dimensions.
There's some big kids down there.
But that's where we're at with that.
Okay.
Do you guys have anything else?
Nope.
Okey-doke. Hiring a temporary part-time public works assistant. The other day, I've been looking for somebody that would come and help Jay with mowing, a lot of the things that, thank you guys.
Thank you.
For helping out around town, getting some of this stuff done. And as everybody here, or any employer knows, when somebody comes along that's a very good hand, you gotta grab them. I was kinda looking for a high school student that might be able to do it. And I don't know how long he is gonna be here, cause he's kinda in between jobs. And this is a part-time job. So a man who has a family and that kind of stuff has to look out for his family. And I fully understand. However, I looked at his resume and I've talked with a lot of people and I like it. And I've talked to the council about it. So he is here tonight. So if you would like to stand up and introduce yourself.
I'm Brent Bojo from Bridger. I started helping Jay earlier this week, and I'm also on Bromberg Fire Department.
Nice to meet you.
Long walks in the moonlight.
Yeah, holding his hand.
So does any of the council have any questions or would they like to, anything?
Well, I would just ask Tim, I guess, because you're kind of in charge of the employees, what do you see this gentleman doing for the town?
Well, I've been trying for 6 months to see what we can do about that burn pile down there and that empty lot and stuff down there. And this week they went down, they cut down all the trees along the corner and they're gonna continue and pull out all those roots there and the fence line is gonna go. And we're gonna make this a spot where we can rent out and put camper trailers or RV storage. It's a storage place for that.
We can charge monthly for it?
That we can charge monthly for. And that money will go into our general fund.
That's a damn good idea. Wish I'd have thought of that.
Probably did. It just takes a long time to get stuff done.
We can move the burn pit.
And that is
That allows
another.
us the whole area.
Yeah. Can we move that burn pit
You know, I was gonna,
over into,
That
like
is
Bill said something?
Bill,
No?
Bill, yeah, sorry.
That would be
Now,
expanding it.
and that may happen this year. We'll let you know. Anyway, no, I talked with, Bill came in the office and he had commented about that stinking burn pile down there. He said, it's
Literally.
killing my wife. And I said, well, why don't we move it? Well, that's what he said. And I said, well, why not? He said, well, why not?
I mean, if you live next to that thing.
It's gotta be
Oh,
terrible.
I can't imagine that would be,
I don't know why we've kept it there for so long. In reality, I called the DEQ water people. They didn't have a problem with it. I called the DEQ air quality people, and they liked the idea, because it gets it further out of town. And where we're thinking about putting it is the sewer lagoon
the dry lagoon.
down there, yes.
Yeah,
There's a dry corner on the west one where we can make, where they can pull in there, dump the burnables, and we could burn them right there. And then it'd be further away from all the public.
is,
And
is there tall grass and stuff down there that we would have to mediate?
Yeah, there's cattails and stuff.
That's the only concern I would
That are
have
growing in
is
both
that
of
thing
Yeah,
getting
but,
like into those trees and stuff down there
that
too.
whole field down
Well,
there
the
gets full of
west
dry
one is
cheatgrass.
the farthest away from everything, so it would be.
there is
most
some
ideal.
water in both of them. But I believe it's the water table. And we might have to put a road base down through there to make sure that nobody sinks. However.
Are we gonna have to fence anything off though, so somebody doesn't drive in the pond and?
No, I don't
I was
think
gonna
so.
say,
I think what we
We
would
would plan for the worst.
I think what we need is for our attorney to draft a letter so that when we decide that that's what we're gonna do and we vote on it, that there's a letter that makes the city not responsible for anything that goes on down
Oh,
there.
yeah.
That's right.
So if they're taking it on their own risk to drive down there, and if they get stuck, then that's their problem. If they drive off into the
River.
river, that's their problem. You know, it's not up to us. We're just offering a burn pile for people to
An
put
option.
burnables. An option.
That, and when you're getting that letter drafted up, have them write that it's strictly yard trash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then something with a penalty of some sort, if you were caught,
Creek
somebody gets a
burning.
selfie of you burning Fisher Price garbage, it's, your ass,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be
No
a good
plastic,
idea.
no metal.
And why, why we didn't do this years? You know, when they put in this new sewer system, why didn't we think of it the minute that thing was dry?
Yeah.
You know?
Good idea.
Yes, Elton?
It may not be a good idea at all, but, you know where that old dump used to be? Is it possible you could, make that work easier?
No, cause that's by my shop and I don't wanna smell it.
Yeah, then you don't
In my
use-
house. But there's a lot of dry grass out there though.
Yeah.
It would be a
There's a lot
higher
of
risk
trees.
out there. Cause they
Set that
overgraze
pole
that
and set it on
behind.
fire.
And this is for the city use, and I think we can control it better
In the city.
if it's there.
That
If
and
it's
the
out
other-
there, we'll have everybody in the county bring stuff.
And another thing that should be brought up, if it's raining for 3 days straight, we just lock that gate.
Well, that's what I was gonna do, I'll
And
lock
same
it.
as if it snowed for 2 days straight, just lock it to where only you can get back there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just, that way it doesn't turn into a rutted up mess.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
cause right now there's only me and the propane place that has the key to that.
Perfect.
Now, there are some things that we would have to do as a city to protect the propane tank and the building there, so allow the road to go between them and somebody wouldn't accidentally run into our propane tank or a generator or something, but,
Mhm.
I think it's a good idea. But then, that's just kind of a side subject here where we're at. We're at, looking at hiring this guy, or you vote on that. What do you guys, what do you think?
Well, I make a motion to retire and
Yeah, he's got my
let
money.
Jay Deezer.
Yeah.
I second